guess I should get my microphone over here. That might help. How's that? Is that better?
That sounds much better.
The crazy tech guy forgot his microphone.
Well, sometimes you need an assistant to keep you in line.
Yeah, so we'll see how many people actually show up tonight because, we didn't put out a notice till just a couple hours ago. And this is a Louisiana Watch, which we haven't done in a while, but we do have a guest tonight. And we're going to kind of discuss Shreveport a little bit, I guess, huh, Duke?
We're going to touch on some Bossier, but we got to touch on Shreveport. I think that is the gist of the show tonight. And, but there is some Bossier news that we got to put out there.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people asking us to pay attention to that side of the river, too, so we figured, what the heck. All right, well, let's go ahead and we'll do our 2.5-minute countdown. And we're already up to about 16 people. That's great. So we appreciate all y'all that are joining in. Tag a friend. We're going to do our 2.5-minute countdown. We'll be back. And that gives everybody time to get some popcorn, get a good stiff drink, share out the live feed, get your friends involved and all that. And we'll be back in 2.5 minutes. Well, that was kind of harsh. It just cut off the music. What the heck?
I know. Did we not have 7 seconds left? You said 7 seconds and it cuts off, and here we are.
I guess I got a little trigger happy. Well, I shouldn't say Alec Baldwin. That's not nice to the lady that he killed. So I'll apologize to her family. But yeah, I kind of got a little trigger happy there, I guess.
Well, I did find one Shreveport group that I did post to, Love Shreveport. I think that was the name of the group. We get some messages every now and then. So I did share it out to that. Maybe they'll share it out there.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, because speaking of trigger happy, and we're going to be talking about Shreveport tonight, and of course Shreveport in the past couple of years, especially the last year and a half, has really become known for the murder rate that's gone up over there. So we got plenty to discuss with that. And what else are we going to talk about tonight?
Well, it seems that some of the problems that Shreveport has had of late is some problems that are, we've talked about in Bossier. In fact, some of those problems have been happening in the last few days. But with
well, and then
judges and lawyers and civil service boards and
and the
police chiefs and
the
police.
Bossier PD and all that, as some of you that are watching know, because this is shared out on our Louisiana Watch page and Bossier Watch page. They had a civil service board hearing. I guess it was yesterday. Yeah, Wednesday, and it was pretty short lived because the city of Bossier has sued the Municipal Civil Service Board, and so there's a temporary restraining order, and so we still have 2 police chiefs over here.
And that's the crazy thing. Having been the fire department civil service board representative in Bossier in the past, I remember in the past we would Shreveport had some squirrely things that always went on in their civil service board, and everything was kind of on the lowdown in Bossier. But today, I got to tell you, you don't hear nothing about the things going on in Shreveport, but you do about the stuff going on in Bossier. It's almost like the script has flipped a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but you got to remember we've kind of got a skewed perspective because we're all in the thick of the drama over here, and I'm sure there's plenty of drama going on in Shreveport. So, speaking of drama, there's been a little bit of drama on the Shreveport City Council, at least sorta. So, and we have a guest tonight.
Yeah, we got a guest. I think that their current council is short one member of the council. I have a little bit of knowledge about how that came to be and who it is, but I think our guest maybe could probably explain exactly the situation and how it went down. And in fact, I think that guest has his name in the hat to be the replacement of that individual and trying to get appointed to it.
I think he does. So give me a second here, and let me get our software set up, and we will bring our guest on. Let's see here. All right. Matt K., can you hear us?
I can.
All right, good. Yeah, audio sounds pretty good. Video looks pretty good. So, and we do have some guests coming on. We got a little bit of commentary. Hey, Bear Saunders, good to see you. Wade, glad that you're commenting too. Y'all make sure and tag your friends and let them know we're coming on. We are going to talk a little bit of Bossier, but a little bit more about Shreveport. So anyway, good to have you on, Matt.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
All right, now Matt. Now, we hopefully are going to have some Shreveport folks watching, and the majority of our audience are a lot of Bossier folks, so we don't want to get into this cross river thing. So our Bossier folks that are watching now, we're gonna keep this civil. This isn't a war against Shreveport, but we're going to try to bring some light to Shreveport, and I think that's what Matt's wanting to do. And because Bear Saunders already took a shot right out of the gate and says "Little Chicago."
Hey, I love both sides of the river, so that works for me. So
good answer. You think you knew something about politics there? Anyway.
Yeah. So now, Matt, if you need to, I do have the video of the interviews for everybody. Obviously, we're not going to go through all that, but if you want to reference something in your interview, we can certainly do that. I don't think we have time tonight to play it all unless we just want to. Yeah. So anyway, just so you're aware of that. So kind of tell us, how did this whole, because I know you're usually kind of behind the scenes in politics quite a bit. So how did this whole thing with you potentially being a city councilman come about?
Yeah, so a few weeks ago, Councilman Fleury resigned, and he apparently moved out of district, and obviously we have a new vacancy for City Council District E. So I start looking around for who do we find to replace Councilman Fleury. So I start going and looking through my friends list, looking through people I know in Southern Hills, and every time I start talking about it, everybody's like, "Well, Matt, you should do it. We think you should do it. You'd be perfect for that job. You know quite a bit about city government. You've been following Shreveport city government for a while. We think you should put your name in the hat." And whenever every door got slammed in my face of me asking people to run, I decided, hey, I love my city. I need to step up and do something. If I don't, I don't want it to slide. So I want it to grow. So I threw my name in the hat.
Well, good for you. And so how did the interview I mentioned the interview, so maybe kind of explain, since Fleury resigned or whatever, so what's the interview process? Who did you interview to and the others, and how did that go?
So we had an open meeting today, followed all the open meeting laws. It was all recorded. Anybody could come. It was publicly attended. There were 9 of us who interviewed, and we were given 10 minutes to introduce ourselves, and then another 10 minutes on the end for question and answers if any councilman had any questions for us, or any concerns or anything. So that happened at 9 o'clock this morning, and then they're calling a special meeting for Monday at 9 a.m. for the vote to happen.
So when are they? Do you know when they're supposed to decide? And make a decision on this, or is it just the city councilman? How does that? Do you know how that process works?
Yeah. So since this falls within 18 months of the next election, which is our Shreveport city elections are next November, whoever gets appointed as the interim serves the rest of the term, and then there will be another election in November for a full 4-year term. So they pick those. So the city council pick the interim Monday morning at 9 a.m. and the interim will serve the rest of the term until December 31st.
Okay, so it's going to really be a pretty short-term type deal. And, well, I got an obvious question you may or may not want to answer. Do you maybe plan on running for city councilman after that?
I haven't decided on that. This all kind of came about quickly, so I'll definitely consider it, and not saying no.
Okay, yeah, I got to get through the first hurdle, which is see if they choose you.
That was probably the case for everybody that threw their name in the hat. This whole thing kind of happened pretty fast for everybody.
For sure. I mean, I had considered in the past running for city council whenever the seat came open in 2022. I just, hadn't it been 2 or 3 years. I hadn't thought about it anymore. I hadn't, decided, hey, this is something I want to do. This is something I don't want to do until I got to thinking about it a few weeks ago. So, we'll cross that bridge next year. I'm open to it.
Yeah. So. Ashley Lee, of course, I'm going to ask those questions right out of the gate. Thanks for the comment, though. So anyway, all right, go ahead, Duke. I'm sorry.
Well, I listened to you giving your comments today. Perfect timing. I know you, and I wasn't specifically looking for you, but the timing was perfect. I logged in right at the time you were stepping up to the mics. It was perfect timing. And you made some comments regarding, crime and the police and articulate again what you were saying regarding what your thoughts were on the police department and crime in Shreveport, because I think that's the elephant in the room. If you're a citizen of Shreveport, I think wouldn't you agree that's probably everyone's biggest concern over there?
It doesn't matter if I'm looking at a neighborhood page in Shreveport, I'm looking at friends pages in Shreveport, what have you. I'm looking at comment sections on social media. Crime is on everybody's mind in Shreveport. We've had, I believe, 83 or 84 homicides so far this year, and dating back to the late 80s, early 90s, it hasn't been that high. Other sections of crime is down, but our homicides are definitely up this year. We are between 100 and 150 officers short right now. I know that the new police chief, or the interim police chief, has several people going through the training academy to try to fill some of those positions, but our starting salary is in the low 30,000s. It's not necessarily easy to attract police officers to come be police officers right now. So getting some of those vacancies filled certainly will help some of the issues, but whenever crime happens, the police officers show up after the crime happens. So it's not going to fix all of our problems overnight, but Shreveport has about a 25% poverty rate of our population is at poverty line or below. And then according to the United Way Alice report, we have about 50% of our population who struggles to make ends meet. They don't have adequate income to pay their bills. They don't have adequate income to save for an emergency. So that's about half of our population who's either at poverty or struggling to make ends meet. So we need to look at bringing businesses into Shreveport, looking at growing local businesses. Whenever a local business grows, brings higher paying jobs, and then that worker in turn spends money in the local economy, and the dollar circulates 5-6 times around before it leaves Shreveport. That's everybody in Shreveport getting helped. I want to see larger businesses come in too, but I also want to see a focus on our local businesses, because having a higher income jobs, more higher income jobs, are going to help lower our poverty rate and our ALICE rates to eventually help lower crime in Shreveport. And that's the goal for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, Independent, Democrat. It's, how do we keep our families safe? It's not going to happen overnight. We're going to have to take small steps towards it, but crime's on everybody's mind, and we're looking for solutions on how to properly fix that.
Well, and I just want to point out, because I make fun of Shreveport all the time, even though I have a lot of customers and friends that live in Shreveport. But I can't remember exactly, so I'm just kind of doing general numbers, but Shreveport's total violent crime and property crime rate is actually on par, and in many cases a little lower than ours over here in Bossier City. It's just the murder rates, I forget, 12 or 15 times per capita what our rate is, and that should make a challenge for attracting businesses.
Yeah, I was looking at the FBI uniform crime stats, which is the Shreveport Police Department has to report crimes to the FBI every month. Our homicide rate is high, but whenever I look at the other statistical categories, it actually doesn't look like crime is as bad in the other categories. But look, going and shoplifting is a crime, but whenever a homicide happens, whenever somebody pulls the trigger and takes a life, I don't care if you're talking about shoplifting rates, 83, 84 homicides, we have to fix that problem. And I think everybody in Shreveport would agree that, we need to keep our families safe.
Now, yeah, I would agree too. So.
Now I might put you in a little bit of a box here, just a little bit. It might be just a little tough. But so this morning, Senator Tarver was on 17 Keel, and he made a comment, and I got to tell you, I'm going to screw it up here, but Senator Tarver said he disagreed with the bond proposal, number one, and I'm not saying that I agree with him on that, but I do agree with the reason that he said. He said he didn't believe that a building was going to decrease the crime rate. He said that he believed that the best way to address the crime was with boots on the ground, that they needed more officers and they needed higher pay. You've already articulated about the higher pay, and I don't know if you said the number or not, but I think today at the council, did you or did you not articulate maybe it was a salary of $30,000? Was that correct?
Lower 30,000s. I think it's hovered between 31,000 and 33,000, and exactly right on boots on the ground. We're 100 to 150 officers short, and in a city that probably has 500 officers, when you're 150 short, makes a difference. Yes.
Yeah, so that, and Rex, you and I had a little bit of off-camera discussion about it, and we were talking about, and Matt articulated exactly what we were talking about before the show. It doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, Independent, or whatever. Everybody wants, their hometown to be safe, their streets to be safe, and everybody seems to agree we need more officers and we need to pay them more money. But for some reason, and it's not just Shreveport, even Bossier City is short officers on the street.
Yeah, it seems like that's everywhere. I'll throw this out. I agree with Matt. I think that they definitely need more officers in Shreveport. I don't know how many they normally have total. But let me say this. The problem is, and I got to be careful here, I guess, a little bit. The problem is that I can tell you from having 3 teenage boys that, let's just say every now and then they might drive up and down the parkway over on the Shreveport side. Okay? They don't fear the cops at all. At all. They're not worried about the cops. My boys generally have respect for the police department and all that, but the drag races that were going on down there was literally a Shreveport undercover cop there. I met the man and talked to him. Shreveport PD allowed, and maybe they still do, I don't know, allowed that drag racing to go on. My wife and I went down there one night. I actually talked to the guy, and the basic stance was that as long as they're not out there, doing donuts and trying to kill each other, they'd rather them be down there at that parkway where they could keep an eye on them. That's a true fact. So to me, there's an underlying issue with the way law enforcement is done in Shreveport. And I'm not throwing any of my friends that are Shreveport PD under the bus completely, but to me there's an underlying problem with the way that it's handled there and the reciprocal respect for the law in Shreveport. And I think that's a good indicator of this murder rate. They don't have, the folks that are out there committing the murders. And of course, we do have murders over here in Bossier, but not near on the level in Shreveport. But they don't really fear the repercussions.
I was talking to a constituent earlier this evening, and we were talking just about the traffic situation. And I mean, you're exactly right. And again, it goes back to we're 100 to 150 officers short. We don't have the manpower to go and check and see if everybody's stopping at the stop sign, stopping at the red lights, obeying, basic traffic laws like, we budget for, definitely. And that is a problem. I mean, we need to be taking care of more of the traffic laws, and, I guess having a little bit more respect for the law in general of, hey, this is the law, don't break it. So.
Yeah, and a good friend of mine, Tim, he's over in Shreveport. He says, how many murders have we had in Bossier? Duke, I don't remember off the top of my head. What are we at, 6 or 8 maybe?
Well, I don't remember, but I will tell you, and Matt even may know this statistic better than us because he's been looking at crime statistics lately. I'm sure that he looked at the ones, across Bossier, but I do remember in our last mayor and council races, crime in Bossier City was a subject of our political races. And I remember there being some dialogue between councilmen, especially at-large councilmen, about whether those were accurate numbers or inaccurate numbers. And then I think if as the story progressed, the crime stats that came out backed up what people were proposing was that there was a problem, in fact, even in Bossier.
I actually remember that. The violent crime in Bossier, I think, was around the same, but property crimes have started trickling up. I think even in Old Green Acres place, they noticed more break-ins, more car break-ins, people not locking their doors and waking up to find their belongings taken out of their truck. I definitely remember seeing an increase in property crimes, but, over in Bossier, I think y'all had y'all's first homicide of the year in March. So y'all's violent crime is, pretty consistent, but the property crimes have definitely seen an uptick, at least from the statistics I've seen from earlier this year.
Well, yeah, and I'll add into that too, because what was it, last year? It seemed like the Highland area, it was like, you couldn't hardly, and I'm being a little facetious, but you couldn't hardly walk out your door and down to your truck without your truck getting, broken into. But over here in the subdivision behind me, that was a huge issue. And they finally, after they had broken into, 10 or 12 cars, it was a husband and wife team. A good friend of mine had his truck broken into and happened to see it going on in his security cameras, got Bossier PD, and they were able to finally catch those folks. But they had already broken into like a couple of dozen trucks and cars before that. I mean, it was just crazy. So we've got it over here too. It's just that murder rate. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Matt, what your district specifically? I mean, I don't know the boundaries and the district that you're in over there, and I would assume that. So there was a lot of folks that threw their hat in this thing. What was it? About 8, 6, 7, 8?
9.
9. Okay, I was close. There's 9 folks that threw their hat, and I would say that, for the city of Shreveport, I think that's a good thing. I mean, obviously you're seeking to get it. You don't think it's a good thing, but I think it's a good thing. And I would say to the people of Shreveport, you should be proud of the fact that you have that many folks that, saw an opportunity and threw their name in the hat. And I would also say to the elected officials out there, you took some action to try to get people to throw their names in the hat. I hat tip to you for that, because in Bossier, you hear about it after the fact that there's an appointment to a position and there's hardly any competition.
Right.
And iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah, and I'm excited to see 9 people apply for this seat, because, that tells me that people are engaged. They want to give back to their community, and they want to see their community be a better place. They see all 9 of us, it seemed like, saw the problems facing Shreveport. I don't remember in one of the interviews, I don't think anybody left their interview without talking about crime. Again, crime was on everybody's mind. The geographic layout of this district is, if you were to take a look at the map and follow 3132 and I-49 to the west of I-49 and south of 3132, it follows Mansfield Road, Burt Coons, over to Walker Road, Southwood High School's in it, goes a little bit north of 3132 and takes in areas right around Life Share Blood Center. But it's Southwest Shreveport. It's Southern Hills. It's Hyde Park. It's those areas right there.
Now, Rex, we had a very serious question was posted in the comments, and I'm
more serious than the murder rate, apparently.
More serious than the murder rate. It was posed to Matt, but I'm going to answer the question. I'm going to answer the question for him.
Here we go.
So,
there you go. You have on the correct hat.
No, I'm wearing blue. I left the logo off, but I'm wearing blue.
So. That could either cost or potentially gain you support.
I'm going to stand by. I'm going to stand by what I believe in, and looks like it's 2nd down and 13 currently, and looks like it's 3rd and 11. Saints ball, first drive. So. And
we won't keep you too much longer. And folks, we are not doing a 3-hour marathon show tonight. But yeah, I just wanted, because we've had a couple of comments, wanted to let everybody know. We're aware of the game's going on. So if you can juggle and watch both of us for a few more minutes, we'll get through all this. We did have a comment. Let me scroll back up here and find it from first Jeremy Gallman says 8 to 10 maybe. Thanks for that, Jeremy. But we had a confirmation. Wade Lovelace just confirmed with Bossier PD 6 homicides, 1 attempted robbery killing here on this side of the river. So anyway, again, per capita, violent crime is the same. But rather than beating that dead horse, let's talk for a minute about this Shreveport PD headquarters. So, I'm pretty fiscally conservative, let's say, but I do agree that the current Shreveport headquarters, Shreveport PD headquarters, it's got to have something done to it. I mean, it's like not conducive to what a police department should be. Do you have an opinion? And I didn't watch all of your interview today, but do you have an opinion one way or the other on that situation?
It's actually the first time it's come up since I've started this process. But I've seen pictures of urinals that have trash bags over them, dirty vents. That building that the police department is, that used to be City Hall. That used to be where the mayor's office was. That used to be where the city council met. That building has been used and repurposed. Whenever it was City Hall, I think the police department took the basement floor. It's an older building. It either needs massive overhaul at this point or to be replaced. And I think every member of the city council would agree with that statement, that something needs to be done to either fix our police headquarters or find a new building. I'm not privy to all that information. I'm, just getting involved in this process. I don't know if it's salvageable at this point, but, we definitely don't want to see our police officers. Look, we support our police and our fire department in Shreveport. I know Duke used to be a fireman. He retired from Bossier Fire Department. We love our fire and police over there. We don't want to see our firemen and our police department living in or working in conditions that, maybe even have mold in them or other toxic matter. I think that's on the mind of every councilman.
Yeah, fair enough answer. I didn't want to put you on the spot too much because you don't have the position yet, but, you're right. That is a big deal in the news. So.
And Matt, I would say that Rex and we do have some information that we're going to, after we get off of the show, that you may want to pay attention to, because if you should become the councilman, it may be of interest to you to know the information that we're going to share out. We get anonymous information from across the board, across the state, actually. I mean, outside of this region, we don't get into all of it. We kind of file it away. But recently, we've acquired some information that kind of piqued our interest about Shreveport, and we're going to kind of share that out there tonight in regards to Shreveport Police Station. Okay. And it's going to make for some interesting discussion. And I don't think some people in Shreveport city government may know this. They have to know this, but I don't know that any of the potential candidates for this, what you're trying to do, are aware of this yet.
Okay.
I'll
be paying attention then.
I'm going to add a comment up real quick from Tim Euler, because he actually lives over in Shreveport, and we appreciate you watching, Tim. He says, Matt, why can't much of headquarters for portable? Anyway, second question was what I was going to. Why can't we pour that money into officers? And, Tarver raised a good point that, and Matt, you may not know any of this information yet, but that the city's sitting on like $100 million or something like that. Why can't, do you know anything about that or have an opinion on how money should be diverted yet or anything like that?
I don't know. I don't know how much money this city's sitting on as of right now. I've heard statistics on it, but Tim does bring up a good point. I've heard that point a few times. There's been some opposition to why do we want a new building? We want our police officers out on the street, boots on the ground, like you mentioned earlier. It's a good question. I don't necessarily have all those answers. I don't know, what goes on in the day in, day out of the police department, but I'll look into it, and once I'm a councilman, I'll gladly find that answer.
And Tim replied back and said the headquarters could go portable. We don't need a physical building. I would say this: there's no reason that you can't really have both. I mean, you don't have to build, a $gazillion headquarters. I mean, pretty much anything would be a little better than what they've got now. And to me, especially if you're trying to attract new businesses, one of the things that they're going to check out is going to be your local law enforcement police department. I know I've done that with companies before.
There's been There's been talks of looking at other buildings. There's been talks of substations over here in Shreveport. We're never going to be completely portable if the conversation ever goes that way. I mean, in Shreveport, where your waiters and such go to get their ABO cards is the police department, where they get their where the city gets their accident reports for car wrecks is at the police department. So there's always a usefulness. There's always going to be a need for an office of sorts. I don't know how large or how small or how portable it needs to be, but it's a good point. Something I guess to look into.
Yeah, hopefully, if you get the position come Monday or whenever, then you'll be able to hopefully dig into that some more.
Now, Matt, we wouldn't be amateur citizen journalists if we didn't do our homework. And one of the reasons we reached out to you is we understand that you're one of the leading contenders to get this seat. And so as we see it, it's a pretty tight competition between a couple of folks. Yeah, there's a lot of folks have their name in the hat, but and Bo is not liking that he is being excluded from our show. But y'all ignore Bo. This is serious stuff. So in the event that, let's say, we've got a 3-3 vote here and we can't break the tie, I'm curious, what does it come to? Who decides? Does the mayor decide?
I don't believe that the mayor decides. I believe there's a state law that after a certain amount of days of a deadlock, I think it would go to the governor. And look, whoever, if I'm lucky enough to get this or blessed enough to get this position, or not, I'll do the best job I can. But if somebody else gets the position, they're my city council representative, and we need them to help make District E better. I'll do whatever I need to do to help them make our neighborhood better. I've heard that it goes to the governor after a deadlock of 20 days. I honestly don't think that it's going to come to a deadlock. I think that the current city council, 6 members, I think they may not agree on everything, but they have a pretty good relationship, a pretty good working relationship, and I think they'll come to some sort of solution, whether it's me or one of these other leading contenders. I think I hope they'll make a good decision. I think they will. So.
Yeah, well, one way or the other, they're going to make a decision. Okay, so, Duke, I've promised everybody, but like Ashley Lee pointed out, I probably jinxed us again about not having a 3-hour marathon. So,
well, Matt, I want to ask you another question. So,
okay,
if you get in the spot and we call you out for not doing what you say, are you going to come back on here and debate us?
If that were the situation, which to me seems highly unlikely, I will come on and defend my position, or listen to how I may be wrong. I have no problem doing that. I'm an open book. If you feel like I'm not doing my job and you invite me on, I won't shy away from the conversation.
And I'm not picking on you, but this is something that Rex and I have talked about. And part of what we're trying to do is we're trying to drag. I hate to say drag. Maybe that's the wrong word, Rex. Drag these elected officials out here to talk about why they take the positions. And if they won't come out here and talk like what you're doing right now, we're going to talk about them and about their decisions and point out to the public the flaws in their decisions until they come out and defend it, or they start voting right, one or the other, right, Rex?
Well, yeah, you just left out one part. We're going to drag them kicking and screaming the entire way. Look, it's like I told at the civil service hearing the other day. Jerry May was there, and Hal from Bossier Now, and John Settle. And, we were kind of joking and laughing about who was going to get news scoops. And I said, look, we're not worried about getting news scoops at all. We just wait till y'all report it, and we don't have to follow any rules. We get to say what we want about what y'all report, so it works out great. So,
yeah, back to your point, we're elected to be representatives, represent the people inside of our district. And, just because you get elected doesn't make you, I guess, high and mighty. You're a servant of the people. It's your job to come back and listen to the people, represent their concerns, and take care of your district. But a part of representing is not just talking; it's listening to the concerns, listening to the commentary from the district. So, yeah, I agree with that.
All right.
Aside from that, and we're dragging us out and beating it a little bit, Rex, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask Matt, because we kind of pushed him on the police thing. We did. Your district, beyond law enforcement, what does your district need?
So on the western half of the district, west of Mansfield Road, there are some road concerns that are over there. So Southern District E is, I don't know if y'all remember where South Park Mall used to be. It's obviously Summer Grove Church now. That used to be the hub of Shreveport of all the shopping centers, and then it all picked up and moved over to Erie Drive. So we've gotten a lot of those empty buildings filled in. We have commerce, we have business, we have growth. We're building a McAllister's and a Starbucks in District E. We've got good growth, we've got good activity. Crime is a concern. I see the gunshots, the shots fired posts. I've heard gunshots. It's something that I don't like to paint a negative picture of things, but it's something that we have to take care of. It's on everybody's mind, and if you don't feel safe, eventually you're going to take your family's safety into your hands and move to a safer neighborhood, move to a safer city, move to a safer state. And, we need to prevent that, or else, we're going to wake up one day and find, hey, we went from 200,000 population to 180th population where we currently are to we're a ghost town. And I think the city leaders realize that crime is an issue. And I'm not going to say that anybody's sitting on the hands. It's a complex issue of how do we fix this problem and fix it the right way.
Well, and that's an interesting point, because Shreveport has lost like 1.5% population in the last decade, something like that. Maybe it's 0.5%, I forget. While Bossier, on the other hand, has actually gained population.
Shreveport maxed out at 200,000 citizens in the past 10 years, maybe a little bit longer. And we're now down to 180,000. So I think that math works out to about 10% population loss.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, and I also want to encourage you, Matt, too. There's several other comments that people are asking questions. Tim's asking some, and I think, who else did? David Johnson had some. So maybe when you get a few minutes after this watching the game or whatever, go back through and address some of those comments directly. Would be cool.
I've got it on my other tab, so I'm going to be working on those comments here in the next few minutes. So.
Wade Lovelace said this live has more people tuned in than the Shreveport City Council lives.
Got more people than the Bossier City lives. If we were talking about First Church, we'd be bumping 200 people right now, but that's a whole other story.
You said First Church, and we went up to 49 people.
Yeah, just gained one just for mentioning the name, but yeah, we appreciate that, Wade. So, okay, anything else that? And I'm not trying to rush you off, Matt, but, the game's on and people are watching it and blah, blah, blah. Anything else you want to discuss or mention? Or
I think I just lagged out for a second. I did not hear your question. I think you're probably asking me, was there anything else I wanted to say before I left or not?
Yeah, you're back in. Oh, got out again. Looks like we may have lost him early.
Have a little bit of a delay. But anyway, if he comes back, we can go there.
Yeah, there he is.
What is the score? Update on the score. Cowboys and Saints. Has the Cowboys lost yet?
I think the Saints are lining up for a field goal right now.
What?
Yeah. They're actually in the Saints emblem lining up for a field goal. They're probably going to miss that. That's not even LAWATCH kicking.
Well, surely you're not back here to report that. We're going to talk about your race.
It's no good.
Yeah.
Again, I want to do what's best for District E, and help my district take care of its concerns. And if I'm not chosen to do that, whoever is chosen to do that, I'll gladly roll up my sleeves and help them with whatever they feel like I can help them with. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to Monday and seeing what happens.
Well, yeah, and just to kind of lead off what Duke said earlier, with our Louisiana Watch show, we're going to start looking more and more into Shreveport stuff and all that. So either way, we've got a platform to raise some issues if you need to. You're always welcome back on.
Sounds good. Thank y'all for having me.
Wade Lovelace reports, as we sit right now, shots fired on Kimberly Drive in Alicia.
I own 2 properties on Alicia. I need to go check on people.
Make sure they didn't make contact.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, Matt. Appreciate it.
Good night, Matt.
All right. Thank you.
Well, we hate to, as old Ruttenbuck says, flog a horse, but, we could talk all night, but people want to see us move on a little bit, cover a little bit more territory, and we're not done with Shreveport, right?
No, not at all. This is kind of like the initial, we've mentioned Shreveport a couple of times, but we've had a lot of people, or a pretty good number of people, reach out to us and say, hey, can y'all start paying attention to what's going on in Shreveport and cover this? And we've talked about doing it before, and that's honestly, it's part of the reason we kind of started Louisiana Watch, off of Bossier Watch, is to kind of expand the things that we're talking about. And this is the first of many things we'll discuss on the other side of the river.
Yeah, I hate to say that we have refined our craft on Bossier, and some people would say that we're a menace. Some people, they don't like what we do because we expose I hate to say the underbelly, but we talk about the things that people don't want to talk about. And in this case, and I would argue, Rex, we have people tell us all the time that we're making a difference, in the community in Bossier. So in that vein, can we help to make a difference in having a discussion and bringing the community via a live platform to where people can get in here, comment, make their comments live, drag these councilmen, drag these people in here to talk about these subjects? That's what we're trying to do, right?
Yeah, it is. And, that's kind of been our whole goal. If you want to, read about things or watch things, about flower gardens and the good stuff, then watch some of the news stuff and some of the feel-good stories, and that's fine too. We're here to keep an eye out on Bossier and Louisiana, and the truth is, there's not a lot of good government to report, honestly. They do, whether it's local or state, they do some good things sometimes, but most people want to know about, hey, what's going on that's going to directly affect me, especially negatively. If it's positive, people just want it to happen.
And we're not
that's
talking,
what we're here for.
And we're not talking Democrat, Republican, because the truth of the matter is it's screwed up all the way around.
It is, and there was a comment earlier, and I can't find it. Who was it? Hold on. Let me see if I can find it, searching it. Yeah, Aaron Wright earlier, and Aaron, I am so sorry that I missed that comment. I was scrolling back and found it. Aaron Wright's a Democrat by her own admission, and she's watching the show and hadn't thrown any rocks at us yet anyway. And so we appreciate commentary, even if you don't agree with us or don't agree with a guest, or you're on the other side of the political fence. We appreciate all the commentary and want this to be a forum for people to come on and comment. No trolling, but other than that, we let people get away with a lot in the comments. But she did say, and Aaron, I do kind of remember this, was it in the Friends of South Bossier deal that you and Matt had gotten into a couple of things back and forth. But I can just tell you from knowing Matt for a couple of years that he generally has the best interest of the community and all that at heart. So I don't remember what all y'all got into it, but y'all can address that in the comments.
Good or bad, the ultimate goal is to have dialogue and to try to talk our way through all these things. I mean, as long as we're talking about these problems, that means we're recognizing the problems. And if we talk about them, recognize them, and can understand them a little better, we can hopefully to work through them. Now, moving on, you and I were going to jump off on these bond proposals a little bit. We started dinging Matt a little bit on that because, Shreveport's got some pretty big things coming out here on these bonds. I mean,
they do, and we're talking some large numbers. Of course, the Shreveport's larger than Bossier, and so, the stuff that they're talking about is obviously a lot larger than what we're doing here. Let me see if I can get some of this up on the screen. Let me switch screens here for a second.
Now, you and I are chasing the stuff in Bossier a lot of times, and there's some stark differences in our opinions in the way the bonds in Shreveport and the bonds in Bossier, kind of are going out here. And I got to tell you, in one sense, I'm going to say it, hat tip to the way Shreveport's going about doing it.
Well, yeah, and that may raise some eyebrows for us to hat tip anything that the way Shreveport's doing it. I would argue, too, that Bossier does need to see what Shreveport's doing on this and maybe take a cue from Shreveport, as odd as that sounds, because Shreveport kind of deals out or details out, and I'm showing the Arklatex homepage article on their, $236 million bond proposal. But they do start listing out the different propositions for that, and apparently the way that the Perkins administration and all that has done this, there's like 5 propositions to vote on, and if you're not comfortable with one, you can vote, for it or against it. And I hate to sound like I'm defending the Perkins administration, but actually this is a pretty good setup here.
Well, and my point about it is on these bonds, there's 2 points. One, the citizens are getting to vote on this. Yeah. So you got a 200-something thousand bond. I keep saying that. I'm hung up. Bond proposal here that the citizens are getting to vote on. And in addition to that, it's broke up into 4 different bonds, and it says what they're all for.
Yeah, and
specifically.
Yeah, it is. And I'm going to try to make this a little bit larger on the screen here. So the way this document's embedded, bear with me here a second. See if I can get that a little bigger. Yeah, it is. It's very interesting. So they've got in Proposition 1, which is public safety. That's $69 million. And they list out, what the total budget for that's going to be and whether it's citywide or which council districts it's going to affect. This Proposition 2 is technology. I could probably spend half the night talking about that. And how Shreveport actually did miss the boat a few years ago with Google Fiber, but that's a whole other story. Proposition 3 is water, sewer, and drainage, and we know that they've had a lot of problem with that over in Shreveport, arguably more than here in Bossier. They got a deal for streets, parks and rec, and so yeah, they break it down pretty good. There's all $236 million.
Now, if you're in Shreveport and you're saying, okay, these crazy Bossier guys on this show here and Louisiana Watch are saying that Shreveport's got it right and Bossier's got it wrong. I don't know that we're technically saying it that way, but what we are saying is that you guys are getting the opportunity to actually vote on this, and you're getting the opportunity to say what you want to do. Bossier just went after $75 million, and first off, they ain't even going to tell you what it's for, and second, you're not getting to vote on it if you're in Bossier.
Yeah.
Shreveport guys, at least you're getting the opportunity to know what it's for and vote on it.
Yeah, apparently the city council, well, I'll stay off the Bossier City Council because we're supposed to be talking about Shreveport, but you're absolutely right. You know, over here we've got this $70+ million deal, and it's one of those they have to pass it to see what's in it kind of things. And at least here, and Tim Euler says that he's voting no on all of them, and that's fine, but at least you get to see pretty specifically what you're voting no on.
Yeah, we're not taking a position of for or against, but we are making a comparison that you guys, we live in a bubble. Maybe folks from Shreveport live in a bubble, but we were able to make a comparison here that we thought was unique, kind of being Bossier guys. Yeah. And Rex, now, interestingly, the Shreveport Chamber and the Committee of 100, they came out, and addressed these bond proposals. Mm-hmm. And they had some interesting comments. I think I got a link up there. Did you want to touch Wade's comment?
Yeah, let me do that. So Wade from Love Shreveport Bossier says this will be the third failed attempt. Mayor Perkins doesn't want to disclose the actual details to the bond. It's an open bond, which leaves room for them to reallocate those bonds. Now, that's interesting. And, yeah, we hadn't really dug into this very far, Wade. Good point there. That's never happened in Shreveport before, and that's why it keeps failing. So that's a good safety point there that this is a third attempt.
Now that gets into the Bossier thing a little bit there, but I think the Chamber and the Committee of 100 actually get on top of what Wade is talking about right there, and they get into some detail and specificity and use some big words that I can't even pronounce hardly.
Yeah, and Wade brings up another good point, so I'm going to add this one up there. What streets are actually going to be repaired? No detailed list, no details on where these SPD substations will be, but they know what they'll cost. Yeah, well, I'm just telling you, you get more details on that side of the river than we get on this side with $75 million.
That's exactly right. And Wade, we may be fixing to give you some information that you probably haven't heard before. So.
Yeah. Let's move into that.
You don't want to hit the Committee of 100 and the.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, I'm sorry. I was skipped over that in the notes. So go ahead. Let me see if I can pull that one up.
Because they really made some really good points. I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but I am saying if you're a person in Shreveport and you're voting on this, I think the ideas, position, and their reasoning was pretty significant. One of the things that jumped out at me when I was reading their response to it, and they were talking about that since these proposals came forward in the city council in Shreveport, that there's a lot of significant things have happened since then. There's been a lot of changes. And one of the things is they were talking about like even COVID and that numbers and money today, that there's this artificial level of liquidity, and to think that money is going to be the same now as it was then are different things, in which that was a point that I had not even considered. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think about debt and inflation and all of that and liquidity. I do think about that, but I didn't think about it in the context of city governments trying to go after large bond proposals at this time, and maybe even their reason why. And it even made me stop and think about Bossier. Well, maybe that's why Bossier City ran a $75 million bond out there with no idea what you're going to spend it for, just to try to get it, because of where we're at on this liquidity thing.
Interesting point. Maybe so. So I've got the joint statement from the Committee of 100 pulled up here. Is there a particular place in there that we need to look at?
Yeah, I made a couple of notes, but boy, that sure looks fine print. Right there where your cursor was where the thing on the artificial liquidity was. But, they pointed out the fact that this was the largest general obligation bond proposal in the city's recent history. They didn't say history, but they said recent history.
Right.
Um, and, they also pointed out the fact that Shreveport's in line to get somewhere to the tune of uh, 48 million American Recovery Act dollars, I think, to go towards some of the same sectors that are outlined in right there, right where
Yeah.
your cursor's at,
Mm-hmm.
toward the same sectors outlined in the bond proposal. And, you know, Congress also, they point out, Congress also just passed the bipartisan infrastructure bill, and that there's additional revenues that are going to be forthcoming, that would be going towards water and sewer, roads, broadband, three of the bond proposals. So what they're trying to say is it would be premature to pass all these bonds, and then you've got all this money, federal money, that's going to be rolling in that would pay for all these things. So then where would all this extra money go?
Yeah, what are they going to use it on?
Now, Ashley Bullock is being bad. Do you see what Ashley Bullock posted?
oh no, I hadn't seen it yet. I was trying to pull this up, so I hadn't been
She's
paying attention to the comments.
Ashley Bullock is talking about calling Phyllis in. I mean, Ashley, geography check. We're in Shreveport. You can't call Phyllis.
Phyllis,
Now I know Shreve.
she's got enough to
Shreve
handle trying to keep up with the Bossier side.
that's right. Her hands are full in Bossier. We ain't going to ship her to Shreveport.
Right, she's got enough just hanging out with David Montgomery, a couple times a week or a few times a month or whatever that is. So, um,
So
yeah, keep going.
yeah, they also point out, that putting all this together, you're talking, for a 242 million bond funding, 48 million's they got 48 million of allocated stimulus dollars. They've also apparently got 42 million of, surplus money sitting in an account somewhere, and they've got, who knows how many millions of additional federal and state dollars that can come in. You just don't know yet. And they're basically saying that all of these multiple funding sources are going to mitigate a lot of these bond proposals. So if you get all of these things, then if you pass these bonds, then all of these monies, well, where are they going to go? And I think that's what Wade is trying to say, that, you know, you don't
Well,
have
the
enough
devil's in the
detail.
the devil's in the actual details. And while they've given more detail than we get on this side of the river, it's still not the full detail. And that's kind of the point that Tarver was making on the Keel interview. Oddly enough, sounded like trying to be a fiscal conservative. But he pointed out basically these same things. Is that, wait a minute, the city's already got whatever, I think he said 100 million in reserves. I don't know if that's accurate or not. They were getting 40 something million in federal money, even though that federal money had to be spent on certain things. Tarver's contention was that it could be used on the police and fire. There was some latitude there. Again, we hadn't checked into all that.
Now, my take is that this is your quintessential wag the dog situation here. And what I mean by that is so you've got some folks that already know that they've got, a stack of hundreds sitting out there coming in for, to be able to use, but they know that's coming, but they're trying to get ahead of the curve and go ahead and get a shot in and get what they can get before they get that, so they'll have more. Now, I know that was some word salad for sure right there.
Yeah, that was awesome.
But I'm telling you, that's the way, that's how this jumped out at me. But now, here's the thing. We know we got failing roads. We know we got, water and sewer problems. We know we got a police station that we got to do something about. We know we got fire stations we got to do something about. I mean, hell, Shreveport's been having to get new fire trucks.
Right.
I mean, borrow fire trucks, even Bossier. I mean, yeah, you got problems. So, that brings us to proposal number 1. That's the public safety one. And that's where you and I have got some anonymous information. And that kind of spawned us to really move forward and to go ahead and jump off into Shreveport, because I called several people in Shreveport that, are kind of in the loop on things in Shreveport, and they had not heard this. They were caught off guard. I will say that I asked, my gosh, one of the highest people in Shreveport, and not in city government, and he didn't know, he had not heard this. So
yeah, let me try to get this highlighted. Did I mention I hate pop-up ads? Anyway, okay, so yeah, here's Proposition 1. This is from the Arklatex homepage. Proposition 1 for public safety improvements, total $69 million. In addition to the $27.5 million for new police headquarters, it includes $24.2 million for fire vehicles and equipment, station maintenance and renovations, and the relocation of 3 fire stations. So they got $27.5 million for a new police headquarters.
Warren Langley posts, Wade Lovelace come ride on my fire truck or in my ambulance, maybe come look around the inside of my fire station. We're in some bad shape. Yeah, no doubt, Warren. I don't even think Wade Lovelace would dispute that, and we're not disputing that either. And getting back to proposition number 1, so let's talk about proposition number 1. And Warren, correct us if we're wrong, but there has been 3 fire trucks replaced, and there are 3 already on order with monies before this bond. Is that correct or incorrect? We think it's incorrect. Now, as far as the station rehab, and this goes back to the Chamber and the Committee of 100, they supported proposition number 1, and they supported it with the stipulation that the monies were used specifically for refurbishing and relocation and construction of, the new police headquarters, substations, and fire stations. Wade Lovelace, correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah, or anybody else, because we still got about 40 people watching. That's not bad for the football game. Yeah, correct us if we're wrong, because, we're brand new and fresh digging into Shreveport politics. So, all right, but let's talk about this police HQ deal going on here, though. Isn't there a little?
Yeah, that is another wag the dog part, and this is getting into that anonymous information that we popped up on our radar, and we're not saying that it's correct or incorrect, but somebody out there seems to know something because they dropped it in our lap. We're not Shreveport guys. We don't necessarily have a dog in the hunt, except for just trying to help communities and shed a little light and get discussion going. But so you have this bond proposal, and you see it right there, new police headquarters of $27.5 million. And then we get this anonymous thing that's dropped in our lap. And Rex, I think we've got a link to something that if you click on it and pop up there, which made us scratch our heads just a little bit.
Yeah, give me just a second and I'll get that one popped up too. It'll take me just a second here. Yeah, apparently new in the case of that bond proposal may mean new to them. Kind of like you buy a used vehicle, but you say, hey, I got a new car or something like that. It's new to you, so maybe that's what they're referring to. All right, so let me put this back up on the screen here. There we go. Oh, look. Why do you want to look at that? This is no longer on LootNet. I mean, it's there, but it says it's no longer advertised. So what's up with this?
Well, that's a funny thing, because the anonymous information that we got that was sent to us just like a day or so ago, I don't even remember, maybe 2 or 3 days ago, but when we pulled this up and we followed this link, that's the BJ Services building, out there off of West 70th. Well, as you know, BJ Services is relocating to Texas, leaving Louisiana. I can't imagine why a oil and gas service company would want to leave Louisiana. That blows my mind in the first place. But the other day, this was up here and it was listed as being for sale. I mean, the realtors were on there, and they even had a price tag. It was somewhere to the tune of $9 to $10 million.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe somebody else, maybe Elio Motors bought it.
Well, the interesting thing about that link that was sent to us and the anonymous information that was sent to us, they said that there was a contract wrote for this property. And do you know, Rex, who it was said that had taken a contract out on this property?
Well, like I said, maybe it was the Caddo Commission, maybe it was Elio Motors, because Shreveport, the city, is doing a new one, right? Or well, maybe this would be new to them.
Well, this bond proposal says that they were doing a new one, but the anonymous information that was sent to us said that the city of Shreveport had put in a contract to buy this building here, and the anonymous source included that this was going to be the new police headquarters.
Well, that would look pretty cool and slick and make them look modern. You know, that's one of the problems with the Shreveport PD. And again, no offense to the officers out there, because y'all are just doing your jobs. But, you know, part of the thing over here is Bossier PD looks sharp and they don't play. And the Shreveport PD, again, not trying to knock the individual officers, but I'm just telling you, this is the reputation among middle teens to early 20s, is that they're glorified mall cops. So this would be a good start, because they wouldn't be in a rundown building. Look at all that's actually gorgeous. But
I gotta tell you,
the city can't have it now because it's not listed anymore. Somebody else must have bought it, right, Duke?
I mean, I don't know. Somebody has a contract on it, and if the rumor or the anonymous, source is correct that the city has a contract on this already prior to this bond even being voted on by the citizens of Shreveport, I mean, it has to make you wonder. I don't know. I mean, but here's the thing: after that information was sent to us, and we went to this link, and there was actually it was listed as being for sale. We went back to it first thing this morning, and it's changed. It's no longer listed as being for sale.
Maybe Amazon bought it. Wade Lovelace says that would never work for SPD headquarters. That's not a central location. That's why the building on Clyde Fant didn't work. Response time would be horrible. Maybe a substation. Do we even know what Shreveport's actual response times are?
I don't know, but
the national average is like 8 or 9 minutes. By the way, the national average.
If Wade is correct, a approximately $10 million substation, I don't know, that seems a little extreme to me.
Who knows? This will be interesting to see. Maybe so. I mean, I guess the argument could be made that if this is the headquarters or the future headquarters, and they're able to save some money here and put more boots on the ground, the response times may actually get better. I mean, I have no idea. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
Tim Euler says that Wade Lovelace is faster than the Shreveport Police Department. I believe that. I think that's true, because I see his posts on his page, and I got to tell you, I'm like, how the heck could he be there on top of things like that?
I don't know. He's like all over the place. But look at this, Duke. This was built in 2011. It's extremely well maintained, fully fenced with security access gate already built in. It already has security.
But look, Lorex, I would be remiss, since we're talking about this, I would be remiss if I didn't throw this out here. So I get it. Shreveport needs a new building. I totally respect that. That. But, so I'm thinking, why is it? So somebody said it's not centrally located. We need something centrally located and practical, right?
Right.
Well, there's a building in downtown Shreveport that just is screaming at me that I'd be remiss to mention.
They could save a lot of money.
And I even think a sitting congressman would even be able to try to, throw some support behind making this move to get that monkey off of his historical back, because everybody seems to forget that,
that it's even there. Yeah, and it's already got kind of a police presence in it right now, right? Law enforcement presence. Well, maybe not right this minute, but occasionally. Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't
Okay.
know that we can talk about that.
Oh, that's right. Top secret stuff. I got you.
I don't know if we can talk about that. But
Okay.
Shreveport, the old Louisiana Law School building. I'm telling you, you could get a great deal on that. You got a heck of a lot of parking, and I think you even got the ability to shoot some guns in there. You know, and I'm thinking Louisiana College would probably make a heck of a deal for you down there. And I got to tell you, I think you got a congressman in your district that would be more than willing to help on that project in some way.
Yeah, I mean, and look, they would be close. Do they still, is a shooting range still open at the downtown Shreveport Airport? It'd be relatively close to that shooting range as well if that one's still open. I mean, Shreveport PD used to train out there.
I think that's private, but like you are saying that I don't know that we can talk about, but I think that if you made an investment in that building, you'd have your own shooting range. You wouldn't need downtown by the airport.
Well, I'm just saying, the one downtown by the airport is private, but if you own a plane or have a plane in a hangar down there, you're able to shoot and bring a guest, and Shreveport PD at least used to train there. That was a long time ago. But you'd have both. They had cars out there and, some the walls set up for doing, close quarters training or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, where is that building? I was trying to find it on Google real quick. I don't remember the address on it.
Well, I don't remember the address, but I would tell you that if the city of Shreveport really wanted another building and they wanted to really come out of this thing smelling like a rose and make a heck of a deal, they need to call Louisiana College and secure that building for their new police headquarters. I will admit, there are still a few floors of that building that need to be remediated. But when you talk about the long-term investment and you talk about the amount of money that you would save, even after remediating that, I mean, you're not nowhere near the quantity of money you're talking about spending in this bond. You're nowhere near it.
See, we're already helping Shreveport out, trying to help them save money.
Just an idea. Just an idea. I mean, I don't know. That's you and I have a lot of them ideas. Nobody ever listens to us, though.
No, they don't. But that's okay.
Wade seems to be listening to us.
He's probably here more for the entertainment value, just to see what we'll come up with. All right, so we already discussed the crime rates. We already discussed some more stuff with the what you call a civil service deal over here in Bossier. Anything else that we really want to discuss tonight? Well,
I think maybe we would do good to tune folks up for what we got in store for next week. Now, granted, for those of you from Shreveport that are watching that aren't acquainted with kind of what we do, I mean, a lot of the times, current events guide us. Literally, I mean, we've had meetings that happen the day of the show, and then we've had show notes and plans, and our whole show completely changes within a few hours of the show, and then our topics are on those events that take place. So
yeah, if you hadn't noticed, folks, sometimes we just kind of wing it and fly by the seat of our pants because we're amateur journalists giving our opinions and kind of amateur pundits, so to speak. So anyway, for what that's worth.
And this works because we've got involvement from you watching the show, commenting, and you guys watching the show and your comments, you prompt us on a lot of the discussion and kind of steer it. I mean, your comments steer us away to things sometimes we don't even consider. And a lot of times you know more than we know. I mean,
yeah, and as we're kind of wrapping this up and all that, so here's the deal for those of you that are new to watching or whatever. Again, we appreciate everybody, whether you're from Shreveport, Bossier, or wherever you are. It doesn't matter whether you agree or not. Pretty much every Tuesday evening, we're pretty consistent. We do Bossier Watch. That cross posts over to our Louisiana Watch Facebook page. It's also on YouTube. And then at least a Thursday or a few Thursdays a month, we try to do Louisiana Watch, and we're going to start stepping that back up. And as we talked about tonight, we're going to focus on Shreveport a little bit, as well as state, a little bit of national stuff, but mainly state and regional and Shreveport stuff. And we've got a few guests kind of tentatively lined up coming up in the next week or two, and that should make it very interesting.
Do you want to know a little bit about them, Rex?
Yeah, well, clue me in so it's not a total surprise.
So, yeah, let me tease that out there. So, today, good grief, my phone, I was on the phone. I mean, I went from Secretary of State Ardoin, Attorney General Jeff Landry, to State Senator Greg Tarver, to State Representative Kathy Edmonston, to School Board Member Dennis Bamberg, to two different Bossier City Councilmen, and
Wow.
two different proposed city councilmen in Shreveport. And so we've got some statewide elected officials for next week, as well as some legislators.
Well, that should make for an interesting show. I'm a little jealous. I got one phone call today from a school board member, which I appreciate Adam's call, but I'm a little jealous. You were just like, you didn't get any real work done today, did you?
I did not wake up this morning intending on talking to all these people, but as it results, things that are happening both in Shreveport and in Bossier have led to that, and it's going to result in next week us being pretty busy with guests and shows, talking about content. Of course, there's going to be things, I think Monday they're going to announce in Shreveport who the pick is, and I don't really know the other candidates, and I would offer any of the other candidates that are, being proposed for that council seat. We invite you to come on, Matt. We just have met Matt before in political circles. We know him. It's nothing against any of y'all. If you want to come on the show, I mean, we would do a special edition just to bring you on and kind of talk about it. See what your thoughts are.
Yeah, we can put that together at last minute if we need to. Not a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So next week's going to be a great show. And Bossier City just keeps dealing us stuff every Tuesday. There's no way we're not going to deal with Bossier City and the council meeting on Tuesday.
Yeah, so we appreciate everybody that's watched tonight and everybody that's commented. And if we miss some of the comments, theirs are scrolling by. We'll try to address them later on directly if we can or whatever. Just remember, tag some friends, share some friends, text some friends, let them know that the show goes on Tuesday nights on Bossier Watch, which does cross post over here on Louisiana Watch. Some Thursday nights on Louisiana Watch, which does cross post to Bossier Watch, our identity crisis. And, hey, we appreciate all y'all again.
Good night.
Good night, folks. See y'all later.